Hello, hello, hello. Great, beautiful, blessed Monday afternoon. I am still getting my life together. What is new? What is new? Come on now. Can you see me? It is 4 p.m., not my normal time. However, I should still be everywhere. I should be Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube today on this beautiful Veterans Day. Woo! Thank you, veterans. Thank you, veterans. Thank you, veterans. It is your day. I am grateful that you exist. I am grateful that you do all the work that I would be too afraid to do. And for that, I'm going to show that, veterans, thank you. You are wonderful. You are amazing. And I'm grateful for you. Fight for our country like you do. You are appreciated. And on that note, some other people I'm very appreciative of are this couple. Okay. So, I only do my Mondays usually. I only do my Mondays at noon with everyone. And then now I'm doing it at 4 o'clock because this is when the schedule permitted. And I was not about to say no to having this couple on. Okay. This is a miracle because schedules were scheduling. And this fell on the day of Single Appreciation Day or like National Singles Day. You know how they make up days about everything. So it was too perfect. I could not say no. So today we have Miss Terrell. She was here before. We had a great podcast. The recording was a little weird, but the podcast itself was amazing. She's an author. She's like the lupus queen. Like she has been doing this since it's been being done. Okay. So I was super honored to have her on my podcast in the first place. But now y'all, we have her husband who's going to tell us, the love story and how this all went down, because this is, what we all want. We want the happy marriage, regardless of if you're healthy or not. Till death do us part was for real when they said it. So I'm so excited. I want to introduce Terrell and Jeff. Woo! Hi, hear you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so I just wanted to. I know that I want to jump into the love story. However, for people who don't know you, Terrell, please just give a little backstory so they know why I'm so excited like this.
All right, let's start like this, okay? Because anyone that's been following Tenille for a while can check out. I don't know the episode, but I'm sure she'll download it in the show notes later. That we had this phenomenal conversation. So I'm just going to give you a brief 1 or 2 sentence because you can find out more about me in depth on that particular episode. But I am Terrell Sally Holloman. I'm known as Coach T, affectionately with the red glasses. As you know, I'm rocking the red again. And I have to tell you this, that let me rephrase that. I got diagnosed in 1993. So you can add the math on how many years that you probably were not even born with regard to what I was dealing with. Okay. But my background is, yes, I'm a wife of 35 years. I'm a mom of 2 adult children, 29 and 25 right now. And I'm an author, an entrepreneur. I love to swim. I love to walk. I love to exercise. And we both love to travel. So that's it in a nutshell. But the deep stuff, you go back to her episode to find out.
Yes. Lots of information. Okay, so on that episode, you told us that you were already married. Oh, okay, sorry. You're already married, and you found out, you got diagnosed while you were together. And you gave this man the option. Like, if you don't want to do this, I understand this is hard stuff. Like, I get it. And then he said it was fine, and he was going to work it out for the rest of their lives. So tell us that story. And from both perspectives, because I heard it from your perspective, Terrell, and it was it was beautiful. I want to know what Mr. Jeff has to say about it too.
You're asking from my perspective now?
Yeah, like
Well,
when you walked into that hospital or like to that doctor's appointment and they told you like that your wife, was sick and it could be an all for her life thing and like maybe kids, maybe no kids. Like, what were you thinking? How did that go?
basically for me, I just said, okay, so let's move forward. Terrell was kind of crying for a moment, and I just looked at her and said, well, it was a statement that Les Brown made years ago. He says, do you want it to be somebody else? Because she was saying, why me, why me, why me? So I just looked at her and said, quit the crying, quit the complaining. Why not you? Do you want it to be your mom, your sister, your cousin? I said, do you want it to be me, my grandmother, my mother? And she's like, no. I said, then let's get up and we're going to handle it. That's it. I mean, I work in the industry. I work for the Department of Health in New York City, so it's no big deal. In the sense that the compassion and understanding that people have some type of an illness is not something that's I'm gonna shy away from. It's an industry that I went into so many years ago. I've been in this industry since 1988.
Yeah.
And so as far as I'm concerned, as far as I'm concerned, compassion is supposed to be first. And
Mm.
at the same time, understanding what our wedding vows were. I mean, our wedding vows did say, in sickness and health, death do you part. So here she's is sick. So what am I gonna do? Forsake my wedding vows? That
Yeah.
doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense to me.
Huh.
Mhm.
People,
Yep.
listen, the 80s must have been a great time when people had understanding and empathy and stuff. Because right now, on this where you can just scroll to somebody else, uh,
Wow.
it's not super common. Like this is an amazing story. I have I've seen people leave for way less for ridiculous superficial reasons. How long had y'all been married when you got diagnosed?
4 years.
Oh my gosh. So you're still like newlyweds.
Yes,
Yeah.
right? Yep.
Oh wow.
Yep.
So
As
when you
Terrell
guys
put
got
it, as Terrell put it, next to being married to me, she was married to her doctor just as long,
Mhm.
oh
because he came into our life shortly after that.
yeah.
And she had a physician that we definitely loved. He's still alive. God bless him. He's retired, but he was part of our life for that particular period, for that extended period of time. And he was a good, as far as I'm concerned, excellent individual. He and I always spoke. We got along well. And unlike, I would say, physicians today, he was like my doctor, where you could pick up the phone, call him, or he'll call you. I had a doctor who was my physician for 40 years. God bless him, may he rest peacefully.
Oh
But
wow.
unlike these physicians today, which in my we all experience it, they farm you out. I
Mm,
didn't have a physician that farmed me out for everything.
yeah.
When I went to him and said I was sick, he took care of me from start to finish. When he met Terrell, let's put it this way, when he met Terrell, when we were engaged, I brought her over to him, and he started doing the traditional doctor stuff, the old school doctor stuff. How you feel the wrist, you take out the stethoscope, he's listening to a heartbeat,
Yeah.
he's just doing some examination, and she's looking at me. I said, he's an old school Jewish doctor, just go along with it. Do not argue with him.
Oh, yeah, I remember
Then he rolls up her sleeve, he took out the cotton swab and with the alcohol, and then he drew her blood. And she's looking at me, and I said, go along with whatever he says
that.
and does.
He's a
And,
real doctor.
and he looks at her eyeball to eyeball and says, New York State no longer requires a blood test. However, I know this family. My father knows this family because his father was my grandmother's physician. So this was generation. And
What?
he looked at her and said, you're marrying into my family. And as
Oh,
far as I'm concerned, we gonna know everything about you before you jump that broom.
Mhm.
So, his father was my grandmother's physician, and then became my mother's physician before his father retired. He took over, was my mother's physician, and then when I came of a certain age, 18, he became my physician. And like I said, he was my physician for 40 years. And when I look at some of these new doctors nowadays, they look at me like, basically in today's, I would say, money medical field, that's considered a concierge doctor.
Yep.
The doctor, that's a physician that does everything, because most doctors today are not going to give you their personal cell phone. I would pick up the phone, call him, and it's not take a number, get online if you're sick. It was, I would call him from, if I was home or at my office, or even traveling. I don't feel well, something's wrong. He would say, get in here. And
Family.
he was my physician, and he took over. He basically backed up Terrell's physician anytime Terrell's physician went on vacation. He clearly told her doctor, send me all her paperwork and let me know what's going on. And anytime her physician went on vacation, he said, I got you. And he took care of her as if she was his own patient, period.
So this is best case scenario. Like there is, first of all, finding doctors like that is so hard, because I had family, like my doctors that I found were because I was in a teaching hospital and they were young, learned on me. I got really close to a few of my doctors, like a handful of my doctors. I went to weddings and baby showers and all the stuff, because they were like just coming out of college, like they were doing their, all the stuff. So that is very rare, but I love that. And I really feel like people should really invest in finding good doctors like that. Because like, not only did he said, not only you're my family, but your wife, my family now, welcome to it. Like that's so cool.
That was him. Yeah.
So when you got this diagnosis, are you the type to like full force go into all the medical stuff, or like I'm not sure what her treatments were, but probably at some point like blood thinners and that kind of stuff. Like, were you proactive in that stuff, or were you like squeamish of that stuff? Like all the treatments.
Me or Terrell, you're asking?
Mr.
Oh, you're asking me? Yeah. I read everything. I looked at all. Let's put it. The interesting thing was, we were in a car accident, and that's how we and over that summer is how we discovered that Terrell had lupus, because she was going to 2 or 3 different doctors after the car accident, and each one was giving her medication. And one doctor's excuse was, and I say it was an excuse because, again, doctors are practicing physicians. They don't know what your home situation is, and all they're doing is basing their decision upon the information that they have at that given time. We had just purchased a house, and the physician had sat back and said to her, one of them, it could possibly be because Terrell had skin eruptions. And the one physician said that maybe it's because we have cats or dogs who walk in the backyards through the areas and may have fleas, and just told us to flee our backyard because we might be bringing that into our house. Not a problem. It's understandable. We were new homeowners. We didn't know, so we went along with it. And Terrell kept on. And I'm looking at the medication because working in government, Terrell's on my health insurance plan. So I started looking at all of this stuff. And I said one day, hold up. I told all the doctors, I said, she's not taking any more drugs. This is unacceptable. I had called my doctor and I said, dude, you see all of this crap that she's getting? And he looked at me and he said, call a conference. He said, call a conference with them instantly. And I sat back down, called the conference, and said, she's not taking any more medication until all of you guys communicate, because you're giving her A, you're giving her B, she's getting sicker, and all you're doing is you're not communicating, which unfortunately that happens. And what you're doing is you're over medicating her. And I said, that's unacceptable. And they started talking. And one physician decided, he said, you know what? It can possibly be like dermatitis or something. So he said, let us send her to a dermatologist. Stop the medication. She went to this one dermatologist. He looked at her skin instantly and said, oh, you got lupus.
Yep.
Called the other doctors and said, yes,
Yeah.
he did. He called
He
the other
instantly
doctors
knew.
and said, take her, she's no longer on any of the medication. I'm taking over and everything is, and I'll make sure that everything is under control.
Right.
Never in my life, never in my whole life has anybody been like, oh, it's lupus. They're like, you have something along the lines of an autoimmune something. That's wild. Y'all had the best doctors ever. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
we were blessed because, even before me, the young lady that he dated had discovered she also had systemic lupus. But I believe it's during the time when you guys
Okay,
were
okay. I
getting
saw that facial expression.
before you had.
Understanding that one, she was diagnosed in 84. So she and I had dated for we dated 6.5 years. And yeah, I saw the expression. And when Terrell had been diagnosed with lupus, the first thing I did was I went to my doctor and said, look, I don't know nothing about this. Can men possibly be carriers? And he
Oh,
looked at
wow.
me. I want to know,
Yeah.
because if I'm the cause of this, let's treat me,
Mhm.
because they shouldn't suffer.
Yeah.
And he looked and he said, no, men can't be carriers. He said that's an autoimmune. And I said, so how is that quite possible that two ladies in my life one I dated for an extended period of time, one I'm now married, both end up with lupus?
Right.
Literally, they were diagnosed with lupus within a 10-year period of each other. And he
The
just
lupus
told me one.
whisperer.
Yeah, so he told me don't panic. Two, and all he said was get as much information as possible. And Terrell can tell you, I'm the one who dives into books. I start reviewing things. I ask questions. Again, working in the industry that I'm in, I have access to colleagues who are in medical fields. So I just start asking questions. What do you think? What do you know? Can you put me here? Are there lupus support groups? What do I need to do as a spouse to be a better person, to improve? And we even started when we went to the lupus support groups. At one point, I think we went to like 3 or 4, and I just turned around and told her, "You ain't coming back in no
No,
more."
I told you I wasn't coming back anymore. I was like, them people too negative. I'm
Oh
not
yeah,
going back.
the women in that group were so. And ladies, it's nothing against you. It was the group at that time
Right.
at that time.
Yeah.
It was a crying session, and I
Yeah.
says, I'm not here to support my wife in a crying session.
Right.
I'm here to support my wife in order for us to uplift, build, and move forward within our relationship. And I'm not burying her. That's the way I took it. And I'm listening to these women's conversations. I said, I'm not putting my wife in no coffin. I said, if
Aw.
that's what y'all want to do, then y'all jump in the coffin head first. Go ahead, be my guest. But she's not going to come to these meetings and come in upbeat and leave sad. That doesn't
Right.
work.
It's not
Right.
good. It's not good for anybody. And I think that the support groups now are significantly better, happier, more optimistic than the ones even from when I got diagnosed. I got diagnosed probably like 5, 6, something like that. So yeah, I definitely didn't want to go back then when I first got diagnosed. They were not trying to. They were not trying to have any kind of. Everybody was helpless, and everybody
Yeah,
just wanted to,
hopeless.
just there to die. Like, oh,
Right,
this is
exactly.
happy as I die. Like, no, thank you. Like, can we talk about something good? Like, you're still alive right now, so let's talk about that.
Yeah.
But I've also, in all the years that I have been in and out of support groups, I have never seen a spouse at a support group meeting. Never.
That's interesting. And I'm sure that there's ladies there that are married. It could be a variety of reasons. It could be scheduling where the spouse is not available to
Yeah.
come. And it also could be the fact that she didn't tell her spouse that she's going to these support groups because she kind of feels a certain way about that. Or it could be the fact that, maybe he's not interested in going to the meeting. And that's your deal. That's your deal. You have to deal with it. And I'm kind of staying hands off because however you want to handle it, I'll just follow your lead. But Jeff has always been that person to be very, very involved in what we're doing together, regardless of what was going on, whether it was my health, whether it's, when we decided to have the family and move forward with that, whether it's the cooking, because he's the primary person that cooks in our family. He's the chef. He's the chef. I'm just the one in the background to make sure that we're all eating it, right? But he's the one that cooks. So when it came to a certain point and we couldn't figure out what to do, he's like, listen, we started looking at books and we started reading. It's like, okay, let's just kind of start eliminating stuff, just eliminating and see what happens. So we got rid of the red meat. So we haven't had red meat since 1990, right? That's a long
Yeah,
time.
okay.
Good.
1990, we got rid of the red meat. Then we got rid of the veal. And the only thing we started eating was like left was fish, turkey, and chicken.
I
Those
mean,
are the last things we were
the
able
options,
to.
girl.
Yeah. So that's what we were doing at that time. But it's not easy. I realize, especially now, because we talked a little bit about that with dating, and you were saying that for women that found out they have some kind of autoimmune condition or cancer, whatever it is, how do you go about dating now with men? Because they hear lupus or they hear MS or RA, they're like, oh no, I don't think I want to get involved with this, you know?
Right.
I really believe it's the culture, unfortunately, nowadays that men are not taking up the mantle to really be men about it. You know, I believe we've been on this earth for the fact that the man does protect the woman, and it goes back probably to generations and stuff like that. But if a man doesn't have another man to teach him, then we have an issue, right? And maybe that's the reason why we have so many divorces, or we have women that are having health challenges that are having men walk away instead of sticking around and seeing it through. Just like we have men walking away from their families, meaning their children that they have birthed, and they're not sticking around to really help that person, help the woman, whether they're married or a girlfriend, whatever the situation is, they're not around. So I believe our marriage is a testimony, and that God has definitely put us blessed and favored that we're able to get through it. It wasn't always easy. There was times when I'd be breaking down crying. There's times when I was just so sad, and I couldn't get out the bed, and Jeff would have to physically take me out of the bed to get me to the bathroom. There's times when I had surgeries for my hips, and he's like, helping me get out the car, get back in the car. It's so much that goes into it. It takes a man of strength. It takes a man of courage. It takes a man who's bold to talk about stuff to doctors and the families that you deal with sometimes, because sometimes your family don't understand. You know that, girl. Sometimes your family don't understand. You look okay. What are you talking about? You have something like this. You look totally fine, but
This
your
whole
body
thing,
is
you make
going.
me well up. It's
Yeah,
just like,
yeah, but your body's going all wackadoo
Mhm.
inside, right? And you know the pain you're feeling. You know the medication they're taking and making you look like the moon face, the prednisone, and
Mhm.
stuff like that. And you're already feeling a certain way about yourself because you gain weight or you look different, or you're taking this medicine, it makes you sleepy, it makes you irritable, makes you moody, it makes you all these things. And then you got family like coming at you. You're like, wait a minute. I didn't ask for this, okay? I did not ask for this. But I thank the Lord each day that Jeff took the mantle and was like, listen, this is my family, this is my wife. Y'all can't be doing what y'all doing. She has to be protected. She has to get rest. She can't be hanging out what y'all want to be hanging out for. She has to do this. She got to eat a certain way. He was really the one that said, hey, you don't know what God has in store for you in the future. Because I kept saying, why me, God? Why me? He said, you don't know what God has in store for you. So why not you? And I'm like,
Yeah, and why you? Because now you see exactly like the stature of the man that you married. Like you really see it. Like I could go on forever of stories of dudes that I just dated that were so mean to me about being sick, and like they did not understand. And because, like you said, like, oh, you look fine, like if you look fine or whatever, and I was like super weak or like super sick and like did not take it seriously, or guys that I didn't want to date or something, and then they would say really mean things about my illness. They'd be like, I remember one guy, he was like, I can't even use the word that he used, but he was like, yeah, she doesn't want me, but it's fine because I don't want her because she's the derogatory form of handicap. That's what he.
oh my gosh.
Yeah,
What?
because I didn't want to date him, and I didn't want to go out because it was late. Didn't feel good. I didn't want to go out. And then after that, the way he reacted to that was saying that about me, and I was like, dang, like I'm glad I didn't go out with you. I'm not gonna go out with you. That's crazy. So like it's beautiful that you got to see, like, have the full experience of from diagnosis on to have someone support you like that. How did you guys even meet and stuff?
How do we meet?
Yeah.
I'll tell you one thing. I didn't like him.
Oh, no.
Let me see. What was the date? August 20th, 1987. All right. Let's get some numbers here so people can drop their mouths and say, what the heck is going on?
Okay.
We met on a boat ride.
Yeah.
And her, I would say, brother is one of my fraternity brothers. And we met, and I remember meeting her. And here's the funny thing. I knew at least 50% of the women on that boat.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my other fraternity brothers said, then why are you so interested in this one? And I sat back and said, there's something about her.
Aww.
And that was it. It was just something about her. Moving forward, within a few days, I called. I kept on getting her. I spoke to her mother a couple of times. I was eventually able to speak with her, and we went out for a couple of days. And in fact, her first date was at my house, and I made dinner for her.
Oh, that's why you're the cook. Okay. That's your life. Okay.
Yeah.
And never forgot it. Spaghetti and meatballs from scratch.
Oh.
Everything from scratch. She comes to when I set the table, she puts a little bit of sugar on my sauce, and I looked at her like, are you about to get thrown out of this house? Because this doesn't work for me. And she says, well, it cuts the acid. I sat back and said, don't you ever mess up my food like that
on the first date. Dang.
I said, you don't mess up my food. Okay. I cook old school Italian. That's how I was taught. Now, I do know some people put sugar in to cut the acid. That's not how I cook. And that was not the way I was going to present my food. By the end of the week, I had some feelings, and I sat back and told her, look, there was a young lady at the time how I was seeing. So I can say I'm seeing. It was nothing serious. But what I shared with her was, I said, and the young lady had been on vacation. All right. There's not an excuse. She was away. She was out the country. She had already planned this vacation before the two of us met. So therefore, that's to tell you, it was something short. I told her, Terrell, I said, listen, I know you're seeing other guys, so don't even start that nonsense with me. I said, however, I got to handle my business. And I'm not going to be the type of person who's a player and seeing two women at the same time, because one is unfair to you and two is unfair to the young lady who I'm seeing before you. I said, I'm going to handle, and I said to her, this was Labor Day weekend. I says, I'm going to handle my business, and I will call you on this day, which was October 6th. And I said, my business will be handled. If your business is not handled, then we do not have to go out ever again. I said, however, if your business is handled, then we are together, and that's it. There's no further distractions. There's no other persons in our lives except us. Fast forward, October 6th, I called her because I did not call her in between. I respected her space because I had to take care of my business. I called October 6th. I said, my business is handled. How about you? And she said, my business is handled. I said, good. Then that means we are together, and that's it.
We go together now, girl. I love that. I love that.
Now, here's the best part. Thanksgiving, I proposed.
Yeah, he did.
Which means that's only what? Not even
3 months.
Thanksgiving, I proposed.
3 months.
That's wild.
So that's August 20th, we met. We had to separate for a period of time. October 6th, we got back together. And Thanksgiving was what, November 23rd, something like that?
It's always the 20-something. Sometimes it's on my birthday.
Right. And I had the ring. She looked at me and said, and I said, well, I know what I want in life. She had to think about it. And Valentine's Day is when she accepted.
Wait, you proposed and she had to think about it?
Yes.
Well, You a heartbreaker. You. Wow. Okay. I don't know
Yeah,
if I'm
I
doing
broke a
this
lot of
business.
hearts before him too. So that's what I've been told.
Wow. Okay. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's a super interesting story. And like my father, rest his rest his soul, he said the same type of thing of like, when you know, you know. Like my dad was a professional athlete and all the things, and like, you know, he had girls or whatever, but he met my mother and he just knew, and that was it. He like just stopped talking to people. He was just like, his mother, my grandmother, was like, wait, what about this one? I like this one. He's like, I don't talk to her anymore. I don't know her. Like I already decided. So when you know, you know. Wow, I really
That's
like.
true. When you know, you know.
Yeah, it's
But
gorgeous. Did
meeting
you?
him on the boat was funny because my brother kept talking about him. And I said, "This is the dude you kept talking to me about? Like, what's the big deal with him?" I said, "First of all, I don't like being touched. He keeps touching my arms and having a conversation. And I have to be the hostess on this boat ride. And he's not giving, he's not allowing me to be a hostess. He's taking up my time." So my brother's like, "Nah, he's good people, he's good people." And I was like, "Yeah, whatever." So when Jeff asked for my phone number, I gave him my mother's phone number.
Oh,
So I was like, "Oh, here's my number," because I really didn't want to be bothered. I already decided I don't like him.
oh
He's
my God.
he's too cocky. He was too arrogant, I thought. And so I said, "Here's the number," and and that's it. And I kind of like went my separate way on the boat and hung out with the other people on the boat. But like you said, he called my mother so many times. My mother got upset. She was like, "You better call this man back." God
And it
rest
was
her
a house
soul. "You better
phone.
call this man back. I'm tired of you using my number. You got your own phone, girl."
And that was a house phone. That was the 80s, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
hilarious.
House
Oh,
phone. The
that,
landlines, they call them. I don't even
yeah.
know if anybody has one. We still have one in our basement though.
No, we have one because they scammed us into it for the internet. I don't know why. Really. But
Yeah,
wow, that is
yeah,
hilarious. Wow,
yeah,
you really knew what you wanted. You said, "Oh, this is the one. This it. This it right here."
Yeah.
That is great. I love that.
yes,
So
yes.
basically, the lesson that I'm learning is go back in time to the 80s, where men stood
Men
by
were
the
real
women.
men.
Right. They knew what they wanted. They went after it. Got it. Got it. Got it. Okay. Well, this is not as hopeful of an episode as that would be. It's very romantic and cute and very cute rom-com. Like I am just so proud to know y'all, and like it's such a sweet, lovely story. And thank you for sharing. Thank you so much for being here and sharing with us. I'm
Yes,
gonna go over
absolutely.
some of the comments, and I could 100% talk to you about more stuff because there's more questions, but I don't want to take up anybody's extra time. However, on Instagram, we have a lot of people and just said beautiful love story, great job, aw, lots of things. And on Facebook, we have hellos, beautiful wisdom. Thank you so much for sharing this today. Aloha from Hawaii. Oh, hey,
Yeah,
Hawaii.
Hawaii. Thank you.
Love you
Yeah.
so
If they have
much.
any questions, they could definitely put it in.
Yeah,
In there. If
great
they have any
insight
questions.
here. Amazing. What a great doctor. I had an experience with leukemia support group too. Oh, I'm so sorry. Right now, Facebook is not letting me see your name. I don't know what your
Yeah,
name is, but
yeah.
I completely empathize, and I'm so sorry that happened to you because support groups back in the day were more like support you crying groups instead of support.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
Yeah,
I would
exactly.
encourage you finding a new support group.
Yes,
They have
absolutely.
them, yeah, on Zoom. They have them everywhere. So like, go and go after it again because there are some more positive people out here.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody said, oh, my friend Wani. I interviewed her before too. Wani said that. Wani, go to a new support group. Like, we can find you a better one. Uh, cutting red meat, bacon, and all pork increased plant eating. Whoever that is, that's the way. That is the way. I actually, at some point, want to do a before and after picture. Maybe another podcast if you guys want to do that one day. Of weight loss because I also have before and after pictures. In
Yeah,
the
that
80s,
medication for it and that eating. Yes.
right. I'm gonna tell you, lupus and I know cancer medicines too. They can make you gain a boatload of weight, crazy weight. You crave salt, retain water, eat a little bit, and gain a lot. So,
Right, exactly.
yeah.
I,
So
I
it
think a
is.
lot of people don't understand about the prednisone and really being able to understand their conversation with their doctor, because that's the most important thing. Have a
Mhm.
conversation with your doctor and understand holistic health, not the pharmaceutical health. Because when I sat down, as I did more research, I asked her doctor, since she's taking the prednisone, so she went from a size, I purchased also all her clothes. I'm the
Hmm.
shopper.
Aw.
She doesn't like shopping. I on
I'm
the
getting
other
a little
hand,
better now.
she's gotten way better
I don't
within
like
the
shopping
last year.
either, girl. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
But
Yes.
for the last 30 plus years, I if I went shopping for her, I can spend 6 to 8 to 10 hours loving shopping,
Yeah,
and I have
that's my
no
old
problem.
picture. That's
Yeah,
my
I'm
old picture.
posting. I
Okay.
put up. If you're looking right now, I'm put up a older picture. You still look gorgeous. Hello, good skin. Hello, pretty face. Yes, still gorgeous. A little
Right.
thicker, uh, because of
And
whatever.
that talks about the clothes size, because she went from a 12 to a 20.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
And I
Yeah.
remember one day she was complaining, and I sat back and said, here's the deal. I gave her my credit card and I said, you are not to come home until you have a gym membership. Now,
Oh.
a lot of her friends, ladies who are listening, people who are going to type in will say that is horrible. One minute you were a positive husband, and all of a sudden you're an ogre. No, that has nothing to do with
Oh.
that. When you're sitting with someone that you care about and you're watching them whine, cry, complain, they're aching, they're hurting, you're hurting also. And I sat back and said to her, you have to take the bull by the horn and you have to be in control. I can't control this for you. I can control the cooking because I do all the cooking. I can purchase your clothes. I said, but if I go up another size, I'm buying you a moo and you're going to deal with it.
Mhm.
So she went
Oh.
to the gym. She found a gym. She came home, and a lot of her friends sat back and said that they felt that I was wrong. I sat back and said, yeah, but look at her today.
Mhm.
She's
Right.
healthy. She's happy. She never swam before, and she learned to swim. God bless her. I mean, she's a master swimmer. And I remember the first day I saw her dive into the pool, and I told the coach, if something happens to her, it's your behind. I'm coming after you. And he looked at me and said, you've never seen her swim? I said, no. And she surprised me because it was part of her mental health and mental and physical therapy. And she understood what I was sharing with her and said, you grasp the bull by the horns. There was no issue with us changing the household since I cooked, changing the household over the food. Okay. Family support. My parents, the day she was diagnosed, my parents was like, we're on our way over.
Oh.
My mom, who's again, I said in the beginning, we share the same physician. First
God
thing
rest her soul.
my first thing my mom said was, did you call our brother or your brother? And I sat back and says, I'm going to get on the call and give him a call and let him know her medical diagnosis and what's the story. So therefore, we had a plan of action.
Yeah.
All right. My father clearly turned around and told her, baby girl, what do you need? In fact, when we first got married, my father did not like her driving my hoopty. So he told her literally after we came back from our
Yeah,
honeymoon,
excuse me. Yeah.
he said to her, pick out the car that you want.
Wow.
And he told her it is not going to be a partially used, formally pre-owned anything. He says, you get yourself a brand new car. She went to the lot, she got herself a brand new car. Now, of course, I'm not being comfortable with this, not because of a man thing. It's the fact that I'm the husband. Dad, you raised me in a way in which I'm supposed to be responsible, but you're helping me out. And he says, son, here's the deal. I don't want her in that hoopty, but if you wish to take care of the responsibility of the car, it's a 5-year note. What do you want to do? So I told my father, I said, on the 37th month, because it would have given us time to understand our finances as a couple,
Mhm.
and I would have been able to really be able to say, I can handle this. So he covered the payments for the first 3 years. On that 37th month, he didn't even come to me. I had already made the payment, went to him, and that's when we used to have those coupon books. I took the coupon book out of his hand and he looked at me and said, "That's my son. That's a man."
Yes.
And that was it. I took over the payment and it was no questions asked about anything else. And because he told her, because my father used to be a truck driver and he knew where she was driving. And he says, "Ain't no way in the world my daughter," he said, daughter, he never called the daughter-in-law. He said, "My daughter will drive in that environment with your little 1919 get out and push."
Oh, your family sounds so amazing. Listen, if you got like a cousin or like somebody in their 30s,
Yeah,
that's like
introduce
looking,
you. We
like,
gotta introduce Neil to
that's
the
so like it's just. I promise you, it sounds like a sitcom from my childhood. Like I love everything about these stories, and like I understand. My father was the same way about like telling you the harsh truth with love, right?
right with love,
Yeah.
exactly.
The thing is that I understand people are built different and people can handle weight differently. It's only the thing is when you are gaining weight because of medication, because of health implications, there are ways that you can work around it. And also, the older you get with extra weight on your body that you really, really don't need, the harder it is for your body to work. Like your heart is beating
Yes, very
so
much.
much harder just to circulate to all these things. And like it's it's not a looks thing. Like I know lots of big women who look amazing. You can dress up and look amazing, but how do you feel?
Feel
Right.
How are
right.
you going to feel the next 5, 10, 15 years? That is the thing. And like if you're watching someone you love suffering and they could suffer less, like joint pain is a big thing with lupus and a lot of autoimmune diseases. If your joints are already inflamed just from existing, imagine if you took 5, 10, 15, 20 pounds off of your joints and how it's going to help it to feel better and function better. So like I understand that telling her, get a gym membership in complete love, in complete, I want better for you because I love you, not because like, oh, I just want a skinny wife and da 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 da. Because she looked great. That picture I put up, she looked great. There's nothing wrong with the way she looked. It could be a healthy person because you are a wife,
Right.
because we have a family, because we have a future together. That makes complete sense to me. So anybody who got something to say in the comments, mind your business.
You know,
And let me
I'll,
tell
Nobody's
you something really quick. Is this that I found out from physical therapy probably about 4 or 5 years ago. My therapist told me, he said, when I told him, how much weight I had gained with the medication and the diagnosis, first of all, he was floored. He was like, there's no way you had 100 pounds on this frame. He said, you look so athletic. And I said, well, I worked really diligently to get my weight down and also to eat what's necessary for my body to continue to function. He said, but let me tell you something, Terrell, that for every pound, and people don't know this, but for every pound extra of weight that you have on is 4 pounds against your knees. So if I did 100 pounds overweight, that's 400 pounds of pressure on my knees that I was stepping each time I walked. So I just want to let the folks know in your audience, it could be 5 pounds all the way up to 100 pounds.
Right.
Really take care of your health as much as possible with the weight, because now your knees are affected, especially if you have some kind of autoimmune condition. Unfortunately, these medications sometimes, especially prednisone, deteriorates the cartilage in your knee. And usually with, and I don't know if this is for everybody, but I know when I got diagnosed, they also said I had AVN in my knee. Now, that's also deterioration of the knee over time because of the condition. But I'll tell you this is that the prednisone, we know for a fact through my doctors, actually wore away the cartilage in my hips. That's why I had 3 surgeries on my hips from 1995 until 2019. I had 3 hip surgeries because of the amount of prednisone they gave me. They gave me a large amount of prednisone, where you hear nowadays most people get 5 grams, maybe 10 grams. Your girl was having 70 grams.
Yes, I've been on up to 60, 70. That's you.
Yeah. Because they know, they was like, oh, just give it to her. We don't know what's going on.
Right.
So I just want to encourage people that yeah, you're fine with your body, but if you're overweight or obese, really take care of that, because that has a lot to do with your knee pressure. And I don't want anybody going through knee surgery, because I already had my ligament torn in two places. I had a meniscus torn in the front and the back on my right side. So I had to heal from that. I didn't get surgery. I did it naturally, through therapy and eating right and stuff like that. You can definitely heal it. But I wouldn't want anybody with the fact with, dealing with the prednisone and some other stuff, that your knees, you wind up in surgery because of the fact you got these pounds of pressure because of the weight, in addition
Right.
to whatever else you're doing to your body. So
Yeah.
And if you want to drop it low, you want Meg the Stallion knees. You need to take care of your weight and the medication you're on. Like, do the research and know
yes, do
I
the
what.
think
research.
that's right. That's important. I wanted to make a quick point to something that you had spoken about earlier, with regards to men in general, or men or partners overall. One, you know what? Whether men are, we're all built from different stock. In most cases, men don't want to discuss medical and health reasons.
Mm-hmm.
All right, they don't even want to discuss their own. However,
So,
men have, in my humble opinion, men really just need to get into some type of a conversational piece, whether it's with other men, family members, or what have you. If they don't want to discuss this with their wives and their daughters and what have you, fine. But at least get into an environment where you can have conversations and to be able to talk about these things, because it's going to save your life. The
Right.
second thing is the fact that understanding your spouse. But men, when we get sick, come on, men are babies. I mean, let's get real. Men want to be taken care of, the whole nine. One thing is for certain, Terrell found that I was the exact opposite. When I got sick, she, first of all, since I knew she didn't cook, I cooked, I prepped the house, took care of everything. I made sure that there was certain foods in the house that I needed to eat. I made sure that she had food, the kids were taken care of, and then I shut down. I called my doctor, I got my medication, and then I shut down. A lot of guys are not going to do that. A lot of men out there are going to want their wives, their girlfriends to take all good care of them, but they can't reciprocate that. I mean, let's put it this way: there are men out there that don't even want to change their kid's diaper. All right, they're like, "Oh, you handle it," because it's just too much for them. But really, it's not a feminine thing. It's being a man. Period. Men handle the business of the household, and that business of the household is their spouse,
Yeah.
and their children. I give the analogy. One is kind of negative and the other one is positive, but I still think that if we understand it, if we see it, we'll get it. The
Right.
negative analogy is Mr. and Mrs. Smith. They didn't particularly care for each other because they were two assassins, but at the very end, the dance that they did to protect each other while other assassins were coming after them was phenomenal. The other analogy I give is Zorro 2 with Antonio Banderas. Okay, when at the very during that end, when he had to reveal to his son, because his son thought he was a wimp, until he had to reveal that he was the man, that he was the man. And the wife and him, meaning Zorro or Antonio Banderas' character, they fought side by side, back to back. I look at guys and sit back and say, hey man, if you can't go into battle and know that your girl is on your back and she got your back, then you got a problem,
Right.
because you should be taking care of her back. All
Yep.
right, it's plain and simple. You should be able to handle it. But there's a lot of guys out there that they don't look at these analogies. And yeah, granted, you talk about the rom-coms and things. Yeah, we watch them. I already know most of the time the stories end the same. But the thing about it is, what you're looking at is,
yes, they do.
if there is a way to support your partner, whether you get into it's to me, when I come home, I'm able to take my armor off. That's the way I look at it. Medieval times, men home was where a man can take his armor off because his spouse had his back. If I have to walk in my house and my armor has to remain on at all times because of her, then she is not the person that I need to be with. But it
Yeah.
also reverses, because if she's out taking care of business and when she comes home, she has to keep her armor on because I'm a jerk, then she don't need to be with me. Then she needs to say, hey, it's time for you to go.
Mhm.
Right.
So it's a two-way street. So I understand that as far as things are concerned in relationships, People have to know the pros and the cons, but at the same time, re-listen to your wedding vows. Because I think a lot of people forget that. Re-listen to them.
Right. They're just
All
excited.
right. Because when it says back, it says to honor, to cherish, to love, to hold in sickness and health. Do not let anyone else come in and disrupt it. I was serious about that because rest assured, nobody outside of this team came into this household and said anything, even when they said, "Oh, you look fine." Out. Oh, well, I don't see anything wrong with her. You got to go.
Tell
Oh,
them.
well,
Tell them.
can't she get up and do this? You don't need to be here. Oh yeah, believe me, I show people to do. In fact, my rule is this: if you come to my house, you better be invited and you better call first. If you, and that meant all people in our lives, and that includes family. Do not show up on our front doorstep uninvited. Don't call me you up the block and says, "Oh, I'm down the block. Can I stop by?" No, because you knew
Very
you
New
were,
York, New Jersey of you. Very New
you
York,
know,
New
you
Jersey.
already knew you were coming. So don't, nope, nope, nope. That doesn't work. It's not going to happen. And another, and people understood that. People learned real quick that they got their feelings hurt. And I says, I don't apologize for taking care of my household.
Your strength is respectable. That's what it is. People want to be kind and nice to a fault where people don't respect you anymore. So just if you ever want to give lessons, like if you want to know stuff, lupus stuff, health stuff, fixing your life stuff, you go to Terrell. If you want to learn how to be a man, I'm put this sign out there that we call Mr. Jeff because he knows things and he knows people who know things, and I trust him. So I know he didn't sign up for this, but I'm saying holler at Mr. Jeff if you want to learn how to do manly things, be a good husband, a good human. Sounds like he's got it down. Thank you guys so much for being here. I really do appreciate you taking your time out. I know you had to fix the schedules. I really appreciate you still following up and coming through. So I'm gonna let everybody go. Thank you so much for everybody who stayed on. I'm gonna read just one more comment from Instagram because that will disappear. It says a couple more. So amen. A conversation with your doctor with holistic stuff, not all just prescription stuff. Wow, you have a great husband. Only God picked him for you, and that's a blessing. Terrell and Jeff, so glad you are here today with your love story. So those are Instagram comments, and honestly, like, you have such a great thing, and I just pray that your household is blessed, your health is blessed, and just you keep doing what you're doing because you are just goals, #goals, like for real.
#goal. Yeah. 35 years and counting, right?
Yes,
35 married.
years. Come through. I love that. So everybody, I'm going to have all of her information, get her book, follow her. She has her podcast on Tuesday mornings. Yes?
Tuesday, 7:30.
7:30
in the morning.
a.m.
In the morning.
In the morning, yes. So I'll be watching the replays because sometimes I'm on a different call that I'm obligated to be on, but 7:30 I'm probably not up if I don't have to be up. But it's a great replay too. So go to her YouTube channel. I'll post YouTube channel book link. You said there's a new book link, yeah?
No, same book link. Book link.
Okay. So book link, YouTube link. She's on her social medias. I'm gonna link her. So if you need to get to her, I'm sure all her social medias, all her like website stuff are in her actual bios of her social media also. So thank you for being here, guys. I can't believe that so many people stayed for this long. Y'all are amazing.
Thank you.
Yes. Have a great night. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.